So this video is figuring out exactly how to tell what this means, alright? So we had our E's, we put it all together, this is the information that we ended up with. Now if you remember again, the big E for earlobe was the dominant gene, the little e is for attached, the recessive gene. Alright, so earlobe and attached. Now, the reason it's called a dominant gene, we've talked about two things with dominant genes. First, they're a capital letter, and second, that they always take charge. You can think of the dominant gene like a really loud, crazy person in a room, okay? He dominates the room. He's loud, he's big, he's crazy. If there was a tiny little recessive, which sort of means hidden person in that room, a tiny little quiet person sitting in the back, you might not even see them because there's this big, loud, crazy person running around. So if you had two big, loud, crazy people, obviously you would notice the big, loud, crazy people. Okay? There are only big, loud, crazy people in this room. That's what you see. And if you only had two nice, quiet people sitting in a room, you would notice the nice, quiet people. There's nothing else in the room. There are two quiet people. You're going to be like, oh, look, quiet people. They're sitting there. Good for them. In between is where a lot of students are getting confused. If you have one big, loud, crazy, capital dominant person, so one crazy person in the room running around, shaking things, throwing chairs, and then you have one tiny little quiet person, you're always going to notice the crazy person first, the dominant gene. He dominates, it takes over the room, or she dominates, takes over the room. I want to be politically correct. So they take over the room. That is the difference between a dominant and a recessive gene, okay? You only see a recessive gene when it's only recessive genes. You only see quiet people in the room when there are only quiet people. But if there are any dominant people, crazy people in the room running around, you'll always see the crazy people. So if we look over here, we know that both of these top blocks, they only have loud, crazy people in the children, basically. And so all of the children's genes say that they should have a free earlobe. So these two are obviously going to have an earlobe. Now these have a different genotype, and remember genotype, and we might put this down on your notes. Genotype. Alright, excellent handwriting at the bottom of the board here. But genotype are the actual letters inside people, or the alleles, which are these different forms. So it's an allele for an earlobe or an allele for an attached lobe, or the genes. A genotype is the type of genes, alright? You might think that in your head, or if you're watching at home and want to play along, say genotype is the type of genes. Excellent. Now the other word is phenotype. Alright, the phenotype is the type of face, and you can get that pH, and it's obviously not just their face, but it's their physical traits or the way they actually look. And so all four of these have the same phenotype, because even down here where we just have one crazy person in the room that's like, you should be an earlobe, you're going to notice that crazy person first, who is the earlobe. You're not going to notice a little quiet person that's like, maybe we should be attached. No, you're not going to notice them because you're going to notice the crazy person first, okay? So that's how you tell the phenotype. For this one, you've got two types of genotypes, two capital E's together, or a capital E and a lowercase e, but they all have the same phenotype, or the physical appearance, the type of face, what they look like. So, genotype is the type of what? Genes. And phenotype is the type of face or physical appearance, what they look like. Okay?